session, and the lead facilitator for that session is ready. We'd like to implore everyone, if you're outside, please give us these timeouts. Please join us inside. Let's go through this panel together. These are discussions that will take the sector and the country one step forward. Please, I have a mandate from the Office of the President, PECAN. If you're not participating for this, then don't expect a certificate. Please, let's send text messages to friends outside. Photo session should hold. Let's go through this panel session that is geared towards changing the narrative. 2020 was awesome. The conversations from last year, we can see how bold it is in this particular year ending. So please, let's enjoy participation and be ready to ask the participants, rather the panelists, questions. The facilitator is ready. Once again, please join us. We're about to take off.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I want to start by reciting what we are all used to. And the response I get will determine how much we are prepared for this session. Up Pecan! That's not enough, because I know that we are over hundreds right now here. I repeat again, up Pecan! To the people at the left side, the response is very cold. I'm leaving the audience here now. The audience at the left side, up Pecan! Again, up Pecan! Good. Let's come here again and try. Up Pecan! Obviously, we know we have done not as much as they have done here. Up Pecan! Health is wealth. Thank you. Please, let's give ourselves a round of applause. Now, we are going shortly into a technical panel discussion, and to be honest, the organizing committee have done so well to prepare for this session. The theme of this AGM is quackery in pest and vector management, a threat to public health and environmental development. And for us to align with this, I don't think it will be very possible for us not to educate ourselves, remind ourselves of the core values of PECAN, and also as professionals, tell us more about what we think we already know. This panel session is not going to be like the regular panel session that we encounter on daily, maybe on events. We want it not to just be like a question and answer session. We want to be a panel session that everybody here today will go home with something different, maybe something they've not heard about before. First of all, I want to say a very big thank you to the organizing committee and the ESCO member of Pest Consortium of Nigeria for putting this together. I may not be able to be mentioning names after names, but I'm sure we all know who our executive members are. I want us to give a round of applause to a visionary leader who within a short period of time has changed the game. For us to tackle the issue of quackery, awareness is the first thing that we have to talk about. And in 2-3 years, we've had back-to-back events that will have effect on these awareness issues. Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to give a round of applause to the National President of Pest Consortium of Nigeria, No, that's not enough, please. Let's take it again. Thank you. It takes a visionary leader to be consistent. A leader that is not consistent, we only try 1 or 2 times and, the fuel will finish in the vehicle. But I'm sure for the tactics in GRA, for the training session, for so many other innovative programs, it has been back to back. Now, the panel session is going to have about 4 offline speakers and 2 offline speakers. My name is Tolu. I'm the CEO of Rotimax Integrated Services Limited, Alcochem Hygiene Nigeria, and Rotimax Pest Control Training Academy. All the sessions of the panelists will last for only 15 minutes, which means that we have a presentation of just 1 hour. And after the presentations, the audience are free to throw in questions directly to the panelists. Now, we have, as we're introducing the panelists to the session, to the high table, we're going to begin because we have a very short time. I'm going to start with Dr. Adedolapo Fashawe, ably represented by Mr. Omotosho. Please, let's give Mr. Omotosho a round of applause, please. Please, let's give Mr. Omotosho a round of applause. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Secondly, we're going to be introducing to the panel C.E.O. Abari Terungura, who is the chairman, Pest Control Association of Nigeria, FCC chapter. Please, let's give a round of applause for me. And the next, we are going to be introducing Dr. Obosochi, who is a very vibrant member of Pest Control Association of Nigeria. Dr. Ogboso, please come to the high table. A round of applause for Dr. Ogboso. Dr. Ogboso? Okay. Please, let's give him a round of applause once again. And the last panelist here today present is fondly called the Jagaban of the pest control industry of Nigeria. Personally, I call him Snake Master. And coincidentally, we'll be seeing 1 or 2 things about snake today. We all know that anything that has to do with snake now is a trending matter. Yesterday, I remember my uncle, when we were doing the road show, while we were moving on the road, he said, in Yoruba, he said, Majeki Ejo Shaoli Tije. You know what that means? For some of us that don't understand English, Yoruba, he said, don't let snake, bite your bum from the bowl. I have Baba, Sanitarian Pastor Michael Shomoye. Please, let's keep clapping, Thank you so much. And we're going to be having 2 offline participants. 2 offline guest facilitators. That's in the presence of Dr. Isa Adamu and Dr. Kema Bonta. They're going to be joining us offline. I want to use this medium to say, for the second time, I want to welcome us to this event. Briefly, I want to share with us the objective of this. The organizing committee for the AGM, they had a vision that is beyond just a panel session. The theme of this program is Quackery in Pest and Vector Management, a threat to public health and environmental development. So if we actually want to talk about exterminating quackery, dealing with quackery, then among ourselves we have to increase values by making sure we advance our knowledge. We have to make sure that every person here today and those that are joining us offline, they are getting to hear something probably that they've not heard before. And a twist to the issue of quackery, which maybe few of us know about this, is that we have the set of people that we call certificated quacks. Am I communicating? That is to say that we have quacks that have certificates. So the issue of quackery is beyond just carrying certificates of association or license of regulatory bodies. So if you are less knowledgeable about what you need or what is required of you to operate as a pest controller, you are a certificated quack. So quackery is not just limited to those guys that we see on the road that are carrying pesticide in Antoni Village, Ikeja or thereabout. So the information that will be coming from this noble panel today will help us to open our eyes to other things that maybe we've not heard about before. So the preface of this panel session, briefly. The health and environmental sector in Nigeria is plagued by so many problems that prevent it from performing adequately. One of the major problems is quackery. Before we even go further to see how it affects our health sector, let us take time to define what quackery is. What is quackery? Quackery refers to practices involving false knowledge of a particular field. People who engage in quackery do it for quick gains. Yesterday, when we were on the road show, I remember vividly, Uncle Sho said, don't patronize pest controllers that will use your money to drink beer. And I quickly went to him and said, even the professionals also drink beer. Maybe we should be saying that, don't patronize people that will take advantage of you and use the money to drink beer. So if you use your profit to drink beer, maybe you have not done anything wrong. Or maybe let's say wine, because wine is more expensive than beer. Alright, so quackery refers to practices involving false knowledge of a particular field. People who engage or involve in quackery do it for quick gains and various other reasons. While real professionals may spend years mastering a craft or skill in practicing it, quacks may only spend a few months or receive no training at all before practicing similar profession. This means that the quacks are uneducated and unqualified in that field, yet go on to practice it. Now, let me go back to what we have hinted on briefly before. The effect of quackery is into so many sides. The first, I'm going to make a reference to an event that happened in Ekiti State of recent. On the 26th of May, 2021, in Ekiti State, at the College of Health and Science and Technology in Nigeria, Ekiti. This news went viral. I'm sure a lot of us heard about it. Please, if you heard about it, can you raise your hand by signifying that you heard about the incident? I've only seen 2 people. You heard about it, sir? All right. Over 100 students of that college were admitted because after inhaling chemicals used for a fumigation exercise in the institution, there were a lot of issues. Secondly, the European Union has extended Nigeria's bean exports ban because it contained between 0.03 mg per kilogram of 4.6 kilogram of dichloride pesticide, when the acceptable maximum residue limit is 0.01. What that means is that there has been issue of over-concentration. Unfortunately, I'm not sure we have so many farmers here. We have so many public health professionals. The Commission later extended the suspension of the import of dried beans from Nigeria until 2021, owing to the continuous presence of diclovers and impossibility to achieve in a short time compliance with the Union Food Law requirement regarding pesticide residues. In February 2018, Nigeria submitted a new action plan and stated that its objective was to control and streamline, in particular, dried beans, strengthen the legal and regulatory environment and build fundamentals for the quality production of dried beans. However, the Commission understands that Nigeria has not yet implemented that action plan, not granted any budgetary means for its implementation. The stage of implementation of Nigeria of the action plan as regards the integrated pest management and maximum residual level of pesticide do not allow the conclusion that union requirement as regards pesticide residues on the relevant dry beans are met. In all of this, what we're saying is that up to now we cannot export beans to any European countries. And this is solely responsible by the act of quackery. So it's not just about the impact on the environment, it's not just about the impact on our health, it means that there's also an impact on the economy of the nation. That is why our gathering today is very vital. We're going to be having short presentation for our panelists, and the first person that will be coming on board, I'll quickly glance through, is CV. Like I said earlier on, we just want to make sure that we educate ourselves briefly on what we need to do as professionals to make sure that we are in line. The first person that will be coming on board is in the person of C.E.O. who is the chairman of PECAN Abuja chapter. Please, let's give me a round of applause one more time. He's going to be talking to us briefly on the public health rodent control guidelines. Abari is the MD/CEO of EHORECON Nigeria Limited, and also, like I said earlier on, the chairman of the FCC of chapter of PECAN. EHORECON Nigeria Limited is the first EHORECON franchise to be established in the whole Africa. He is a certified pest management professional, a graduate of EHORECON award-winning commercial training and certification program that extended well beyond the classroom at EHORECON University in Atlanta, USA, and in UAE. For the next 15 minutes, we will be hearing from him as professionals what we need to know more about rodent control. And when it's done, as the moderator, we only have one more question each for the members. Then we will allow the audience to also come up with their questions, which I know that my colleague is also working on. So,
I'm just going straight to what we need to do. But first, I keep on saying this. What is a profession? When we say something is a profession, it insinuates some requisite knowledge that you must have to be able to be in that profession. You can't be a lawyer without going to law school. You can't be a doctor without reading medicine. Pest control is a profession, and you can't be a pest control professional without having the requisite knowledge about pest control. When Rotimax talk about certified that's the way you put it, certified quality. It's true. Some of us call ourselves professionals, but do we really have that knowledge that we can back up our professionalism with? So please, this is an avenue that we should really pay good attention. The knowledge makes you the professional. I'm going to talk about rats, rodent control. Let me start by saying, I have a slide that I would rather have it run so that we'll make it a bit interactive. We have rodents makes up about 40% of all mammals, and they're worldwide. I mean, and they literally in every continent. They are everywhere. Rodents are here with us. They are everywhere in the world. So wherever you are, also that you are in the presence of rodents. And then why do they call them rodents? I mean, let's make it a bit interactive. Why do they call them destroyers or some other word? Why do they call them rodents? Simply, from the Latin word rodia, meaning to know, these guys have to chew. They have to chew. Their biology is such that their teeth grow continuously, so they need to keep on gnawing on it throughout their lives. So sometimes when they chew your certificates, they chew your electrical equipment, they chew everything. They're not chewing necessarily for food, but throughout their lives they have to chew, or their teeth grow. Every year, rodent teeth grow about 4 inches per annum. I mean, if they were to go to the dentist would be in a very good profession. So rodents necessarily have to chew every time in their life because their teeth continuously grow, and the name rodents is actually from the way they behave to now. Now, in this part of the world, I'm going to be very fast so that we can make up the 3 minutes. There are 3 particular types of rodents that actually are of particular concern to us, and I call them the dirty trio. And we'll talk about the house mouse, which is the most musculus, the Norway rat, which is the Ratus norvegicus, and the roof rat, which is the Ratus ratus. Musculus mean actually to steal. I mean, that's the one that actually enjoyed more being with us in our structures, the house mice, the house mouse. The name suggests that it steals. And then why are they so important to us? Why is rodent control so important? The problem we have with rodents is that they destroy our food supplies, they damage our structures, they spread diseases, and they ruin our reputation. If you go to any structure and you happen to see, be it a commercial structure, be it a restaurant, be it a hotel, and then you see a rodent there, chances are you are not going to go there. So they destroy the reputation, they bring, of course, let me just pause a bit and talk about their most challenging problem, which is disease causing. I mean, in the 14th century, rodents were responsible for the death of 1/10 of the population of Europe through what was known as the bubonic plague. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about it. Through what was known as the bubonic plague. This was transmitted by a bacteria called Yersinia pestis, which was carried by rodents. And a lot of people were killed, over 27 million, in fact 1/10 of the world population. When we talk about pandemics, we have never seen a pandemic in that region again. I mean, of course, we talked about COVID-19 here, but all of us were agreed that the death rate has not gone that far, but it has crippled the whole society to a large extent. So rodents really, in Nigeria here, there are so many things. We talk about the Lassa fever, which is caused by rodents actually. Discovered in 1969 in Lassa village in Maiduguri, in Borno State. I mean, and it's actually much more lethal than COVID-19. And it happens every year. These are the kind of zoonotic transmissions that rodents cause. How do we service for rodents? I mean, like stated on the slide there, it all starts with an inspection. It all starts with an inspection, a visual inspection. Really, the first thing you need to look for is signs of infestation of rodents. And there are so many ways of looking for that. You don't really need to see the live rodent inside the facility before you know that this facility is infested by rodents. You look for the signs, which are the burrow marks, the droppings, the smell. I mean, if you an experienced pest practitioner. By the time you go to the structure and you hear you perceive the odor of rodent urine, you know that, oh, these guys are living in this facility. So first you have to inspect. Inspection is actually essential, not necessarily for identifying that the rat is there, but also to look for the conditions that make it possible for those rodents to inhabit whatever facility you are looking at. Of course, there are certain specialized lights that if you shine them in dark corners, and the torchlight is like the stethoscope to a doctor. That's what a torchlight is to a pest control professional. There are certain specialized torchlights that if you use them in rodent inspection, you see some fluorescent signs of their urine. They're a bit expensive, but that helps also identify that you have rodent infestation in the place. Basically, the top five signs of rodent infestation are the droppings, the nets, the grease marks, and the burrows. I mean, particularly for the house rat, it does burrow a lot. And then when you see the noise signs, when you see some of your wires, some of your certificates, some of your equipment being chewed on, you know that, wow, these guys are here. Of course, sometimes if the infestation is very heavy, you are going to actually be able to see sites like rodents. You have gone to a place where you have a heavy infestation, you see them darting from here to there. That way you know that the infestation is really, really very heavy. How do we control rodents? First, you need to search all the source. SOS, that's the SOS for rodent control. How are they getting into the home or facility? What are they eating? What is their water source? Where is their nest? For any pest to inhabit a facility, the pest triangle has to be met, which is the access, the harborage, and the food or shelter, the food or water. Particularly for rodents. Rodent can't, the house most particularly, the house, the nowhere rat can't stay for a day without drinking water. So necessarily, if he inhabits a place, there must be a source of his getting water. There are four basic principles in controlling rodents, and these are the ones that are highlighted. You have to eliminate the food and the water, you have to eliminate the harborage, you have to help control the entryways, and then the last one is the providing treatment. Of course, we know that pest control has moved from the orthodox or the traditional method where everything is based upon chemicals to what we call integrated pest management, which is a proactive way of controlling pests. Of course, most times when we go to a facility, you already have the extant pest population in that facility. Most times people even try to control it themselves. It's until it gets out of their hand that they start thinking, oh, they are professionals, let me call them. So most times when you go to a facility, you have that extant pest population in that facility. You need to get rid of that, of course. But going beyond that, you need to find out why is the pest there? Why is the pest in that facility? You need to look at the conditions. And the IPM, the integrated pest management, look at so many ways you can bring a multi-pronged approach to try to make sure that you control the pest coming to your facility. It's not about coming to kill, which most of the people are fascinated. We have chemicals, we have rodenticides, so if you come and put them in base stations and all that, that's okay. You need to get rid of them, but beyond that, you need to put in structures to make sure that those rodents don't inhabit that facility. Of course, in IPM methods, we try the physical methods first. Trapping first. You need to trap them, or you need to physically put in traps, snap traps there, live traps, catch traps, in the facility to make sure that you physically eliminate them. Exclusion is key. The rodents must be going into your facility through a hole. Make sure you check out for those holes, make sure they are safe. Some of the responsibilities are not really only for pest control professionals. You have to make your client, whoever's facility, to understand the reason why they're having this kind of investigation in their place. So they need to share this kind of responsibility. There are areas you need to point out to them that, look, I can kill all the rodents in this facility, but if you don't close that hole, tomorrow they are going to some others will come again. Exclusion is key. Baiting is critical. I mean, instead of using chemicals indiscriminately, we really need to put in baits that way target specifically for the rodents. Now, the base must only be in tamper-resistant devices, and then we need to try to keep them out of sight whenever possible. Please, we shouldn't be indiscriminate in the use of base. Food areas, never ever use base in food areas. There are chances of them contaminating food sources, and rodenticides are poison. Whether we like it or not, they are poison, and once they contaminate food, we are causing dangerous scenarios for the glands. We can't use them inside healthcare facilities. We can't use them at a residence unless all other options have been failed. Look, IPM comes with diverse approaches. When I was a kid, my mom used to sell grains, and one thing that was always in the house was a cat. That's the biological control for rodents. I mean, once you keep a cat in a facility, if you can, no rat, no mice, no dust, the sound of the meow of a cat drives them away. None. In our own case, sometimes the biological control is not always possible because some people don't like cats. So they don't even like to see other animals. They don't want to see rats. Why should I start seeing cats? And so sometimes it's not attainable, but if it's attainable, a simple cat in a house, for those that love cats, will get rid of the rodent problems. That doesn't mean that you can't pay attention to the conditions conducive, the things that makes it possible for the rodents to inhabit that facility in the first place. Of course, in the end, we need to use chemicals that we have base, two types of base. We have the chronic, and then we have the acute, the single feed, the direct, the chronic, the multiple, and the anticoagulants. It all depends on the scenario, what we want to really achieve. Each has its own advantage and disadvantage. Like as you see from the next slide, the single feed sometimes lead to best shyness. Rodents are very, very, very wise. They are very, very wise. So when one takes something and dies immediately, wait over some time, others are not going to feed on that. But for the other rodenticides, sometimes they take them and really they don't really know what has hit them, what made them, what killed them. Now, this is a comparison of some of the acute and chronic rodenticides. The rate of population decrease of the rodents, the base shyness, the resistant time, secondary poisoning, time for treatment, and environmental risks. For the acute rodenticides, the environmental risks are less than the lower acting multi-feed rodenticides. So we need to put it in a lot of considerations. But basically, what I really want to let everybody know is that for us to try to treat any pest, we need to understand that there's no general rule. There's no cookie cutter. Every one system works for everything. You really need to understand the behavior and biology of that particular pest. The way the rats behave is different from the way the mouse behave. I mean, the rat cannot live without water. The mouse sometimes gets water in the food he eats. So when you are checking for rodents and you see that there are water sources, there are no water sources around, but it majorly will be mice and not rats, and the treatment so will depend on the kind of rodent you see there. Now, safety. There is no pest control method. There is no pest control exercise that is done that is good if the safety of any person in the chain is compromised, whether the operator, the client, the pets, the people in the facility. We really need to think safety. And sometimes we might be called upon to remove dead rodents and rodent fecal materials. We need to wear our gloves because, like I said, they are agents of zoonotic transmissions. They harbor a lot of diseases. The rodents themselves have been known to carry about 26 transmissible diseases, some of which are very lethal, as could be seen in the case of Lassa fever. Of course, gloves and respirators are very essential when we're dealing with rodents. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for your time. Please, you will go back to your seats. What we want to do, because of the time constraint, is to have a general question and answer session. So we're going to have the member of the audience ask questions based on what each of the facilitators has presented. So any question coming to you has to be centered around rodent control. Once again, please let's give P.C.O. Abari a round of applause. Thank you so much, sir. So we still have 3 panelists, which we believe in the next 30 minutes they should be done. We're going to be having the representative of the General Manager of Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, that is the person of Mr. Motosho. I'm sure we all know him. Let's give Mr. Motosho a round of applause. We're not hitting yet, please. Let's jam our hands together. Mr. Motosho, briefly in 10 minutes, will be discussing with us the impact of pesticides on environment and human health, a quick guide to safety measures. Please, all our presenters may not have to use the slides. We all have encyclopedias of pest controls here sitting down. They can sit down, close their eyes, and they're telling us something that we'll continue to hear for the next 1 hour. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. I'm going to start on the controversial note to catch your attention. All pesticides are hazardous. I don't know if somebody had that. All pesticides are hazardous. That means that all pesticides can cause harm. It means that all pesticides can alter the biological location of your body. There's a caveat. If not used the right way. All pesticides have the ability to destroy, be it human, be it animal, be it environment. Remember that we're trying to kill something. For people that come to my office to register or obtain a permit for pest control, I usually ask a few questions to gauge their level of experience. Because if you are not experienced enough, you're going to cause a lot of harm before you know what is happening. We have had a situation where somebody went to fumigate, carry out pest control, where he didn't need to use chemicals. Now an exotic dog died. Pecan for bringing up this topic. Human or pesticides on environment and human health. Impact of pesticides. A quick guide to safety measures. If we're going to be using chemicals and pesticides for pest control, then we have to be safe. I'm going to run through some things that we need to do. But before that, we need to know some of the impacts of pesticides, chemicals on the environment. Of course, basically, the soil, the water, the air can be polluted. We are targeting ants. In agricultural pest control, you're targeting ants, you're targeting rodents. Don't forget that that chemical you're using will seep into the ground. Rain will fall, moisture will fall, make it go down into the ground, water bodies on the ground, make it go to the water bodies, it mixes with the fishes in the water bodies. Fishermen catch those fishes, they end up at the water. Our madams go to the water, they buy fishes and bring them to us. All the family eats fish, eat crabs. These things bioaccumulate in human bodies. Sometimes we have issues with our health. Everything a pest control officer does can be harmful. You can destroy lives while you are trying to better lives. Everything we do here, pest control is a noble profession. It's a profession that tries to ensure that humans live in a sustainable manner. It's a profession that tries to ensure that the quality of life of human beings, is sustained. It's a profession that tries to ensure that the agricultural produce that we have, it's not cut down, that food security is ensured. That is pest control. However, if we do not do it the right way, we're going to be in trouble. Now, apart from pollution issues, damage to non-target organisms. I've said that before, including birds, wildlife, fish, crops. Ozone layer depletion is also, a part of pest control if not done properly. There are chemicals released into the atmosphere, and that is why when you do the job, when you fumigate or utilize chemicals, of course, people have to stay away from that environment for a period of time. Now, don't forget that apart from the chemicals that settle down to people, some disseminate into the atmosphere. Some chemicals utilized in pest control also contribute to global warming. Now, there is no global sitting, there's no global conference in the past 10-15 years that world leaders will not discuss the environment. That world leaders will not discuss global warming. And I want to tell you that research has shown that improper pest control, utilizing chemicals, is one of the negative impacts. Global warming is one of the negative impacts of improper pest control. Now, turn to human health. Research has shown that utilization of pesticides in non-regulated manner has caused elevated incidences of human diseases such as cancers, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, asthma, bronchitis, autism, diabetes and obesity. Yes, diabetes and obesity. Respiratory diseases, organ failure, kidney failure. You have your house fumigated because you think you're always scratching your body. Something is in this house. Apart from the rats, apart from the rodents, roaches, you need to fumigate. That's what you think. However, it is not every time that you need to utilize chemicals in getting rid of rodents. There are a lot of things you can get rid of without utilizing chemicals. If we as professionals cannot sensitize our clients to the right things to do, and because of the money that we're going to get from them, we do the wrong thing, then the consequences will directly or indirectly catch up with us. That is part of global warming. It's affecting everybody, not just one person. Okay, so what are the safety measures? The first thing that I would say the professional needs to do, you need to educate your client to try prevention first. Always try to do research on how to prevent a situation. It is not enough to go and do this thing every 3 months and collect your money and go. Some things can be prevented. If you advise, counsel, or consult your clients in the right way, they understand better and they appreciate you more, because that shows that you are a professional that is worth your salt. If what they're experiencing do not need you to carry your fogging machine because you want to show that I've got the machines, I have infrastructure, and you go and spray chemicals in a 3-bedroom flat that probably does require some baits or probably some sulfurs to chase away rats or some rodents. Ensure that you try prevention. 2, ensure that you use pesticides correctly. How many of us know what MSDS means? MSDS. Can I see hands? MSDS. Okay, so every chemical on the surface of the earth has MSDS, and meaning is a material safety data sheet. That MSDS has information on all the safety issues of that chemical. MSDS gives you directions on what to do at every point in time. What to do when things go wrong, how to apply the right way, what to do when you're in trouble, when to apply this, when chemicals can be used indoors, what quantities can be used indoors, when it has to be used outdoors, what quantities can be used outdoors, what chemicals are agri chemicals, what chemicals are household chemicals. I mean, people go around using agricultural chemicals for industrial irrigation. It is not right. Because even though they will kill those things, they will leave impacts that will affect everybody, affect the environment. You know, so we need to use pesticides correctly, utilizing information. Now I want to talk about professionalism. I graduated almost 30 years ago, and it is proven that if you finish from school and your education finishes there, you do not keep on researching, you do not practice what you learned, you do not study more, you do not expose yourself to current global practices in your field. A maximum of 5 years, you're no longer a professional. You just have a certificate. The moment you stop reading, the moment you stop researching, the moment you stop practicing, you're no longer a professional. I'm sorry if this sounds insulting to some people, but that is the basic facts. The field of pest control is dynamic. It changes every time. I can tell you that COVID-19 brought a lot of changes in pest control. Not only in health, not only environments, globally. So I'm going to run through, I have 2 minutes left. You need to dispose of leftover pesticides and containers properly. That container that you are throwing to the bin, an illiterate woman can carry it and go and put palm oil. That happens. Put palm oil and go and fry fish, and sell fish, and some of their children, not our children, go and buy the fish and eat directly and eat banned chemicals. Or just eat chemicals that are not banned but are used but are not supposed to be ingested. And that bioaccumulates and causes organ failures. I hope we are aware that NAFDAC has a list of over 30 chemicals, pesticides that are banned. Am I right? If you are a professional here and you don't have that list, or you don't know the chemicals in that list, then you are a danger to the environment. I'm sorry to say. If you do not know banned chemicals, banned pesticides, and you are a professional, you have clients that you service periodically, then we are in trouble. That is the truth. Just go online, you will get these chemicals. Don't assume that twice as much is better. Don't think that, let them smell very well so that you know that I have done the work here. It's not right. You're going to leave more impact, negative impact, than what you intend to do. And it doesn't show professionalism. Don't transfer pesticides to other containers. It is absolutely dangerous. It's hazardous. Don't say because I didn't finish this chemical, let me keep. The next time I have a job, I'll just pour a little bit more. I mean, chemicals are used to be, they are required to be used with dilutions. If you don't keep to those dilutions, we are in trouble. Lastly, sir, always protect yourself when applying pesticides. You need to be properly protected. Somebody talked about somebody that went to do a fumigation and fumigated against the direction of the wind. Of course, you would run into trouble without using personal protective equipment. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Once again, let's give Mr. Motosho a round of applause. I want us to know that this is one of the most important sections. The area of tackling, or let me say generally tackling quackery, we have to address pesticide abuse and understand the impact on the environment and on the health. Before we proceed to the next speaker, which is going to be online, I think Dr. Kemagota is online right now, waiting for us. The question I have, because all of our offline facilitators will have the questions for you, then you can ask questions. My first question is going to be to Mr. Motosho. The infiltration of counterfeit products in the management and control of pests has become a source of worries to the big players. In as much we have put so much effort into control, regulations. But as much as we do this, when we are moving on the road, when we are going to our homes, in the traffic in the evening, we're seeing a very handsome young man telling us to our face, you know, as professionals that, bros, come and buy this. Yeah, you know, and they operate without any, they don't even feel bothered about what they're doing. They don't feel like they are doing anything wrong. Personally, as the moderator, I would like to ask, what role has the agency played regards these guys that we see every time on the road that are operating without anybody checkmating them? The association has been doing so much in the area of awareness, but the association may not have the legal backing to just go on the road and start picking up people. What as the agency that has the backing of law, what is LASEPA, or what has LASEPA done about these roadside guys? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for that question. LASEPA was established in 1996, and the agency has evolved to what it is today. I believe LASEPA started regulation of the pest control sector in the late 90s, you know, and where the agency started from was awareness and sensitization. Now, I'm not sure we have companies in Nigeria that produce pesticides. The pesticides we have are imported pesticides. We try to collaborate. We don't have access to the ports as a state government, you know. However, we know that NAFDAC is very active at the ports. However, because Nigerians are, well, some Nigerians are very, I will not say smart, they're very cunning. They go around and mix up these chemicals in such a way that it is cheaper and will guarantee more money. And these chemicals, they will name and push to markets without addresses. Now, a lot of times, LASEPA goes to the roadside, goes outside to catch as many as we can. However, you would agree with me that you cannot catch a lot of people by just going around haphazard, because they don't have one place that is staying. So what we do is we liaise with market women, we liaise with organizations, we liaise with associations, and we are continually educated them. For example, there are people that utilize some of these pesticides to control ants in beans, rodents in grains. You know, we have a unit that goes to markets periodically to sensitize against this. They use some of these chemicals to ripen fruits. We sensitize against this as well. However, what we continue to preach is that this job is not for government alone, it's not for PECAN alone. It's an issue of awareness. It's something that we all have to do. If the information spreads, people will not patronize those parts again. If they don't patronize those parts again, they will be run out of the market. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you once again, Mr. Watershaw. Now, one very straight question as we prepare for Dr. Kemabota's session. Our height guys, I'm sure we're ready for Dr. Kemabota. Okay, so one very straight question to Pisu Abari on what you've spoken about, which is rodents. Personally, I have a testimony to share. Anytime a customer calls and they said they want the issue of pest to be tackled and they call us, well, I've said it, this is not the first time I'm saying it. If they say, oh, please come and handle the issue of pest. And you know, when they say come and handle the issue of pest, they didn't mention it that has to be rodent. Personally, I'm always very happy. Because to me, the test of a true professional comes from the fact that you can suppress rodent control easily. And unfortunately, most of our clients don't understand this. They just assume that when you come, everything will die. You understand? So you spoke about a very, as in you handled a very sensitive session. So I'm going to ask that when it comes to rodent control, the essential areas of knowledge is the understanding about rodent behavior. It helps in the control. So I would just want you in just 2 minutes maximum to shed light on how rodent behavior helps the professional in rodent control. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Caleb, for that question. Well, in IPM, the standard thing in IPM, and like I said, pest control, and like the last speaker also insinuated too, pest control is dynamic. We've come a long way. We've come a long way from the incidents in the 1940s when the organochlorides and organophosphates were discovered and everybody felt hooray. The solution has come and we don't spray them in the environment and pest dies. We've come from that traditional way of pest management to the integrated pest management. And it's not just about rats or mice. In integrated pest management, you don't adopt a cookie cutter approach. You can't just spray reckless pesticides in the environment because want to kill one particular pest. You really, really need to identify the kind of pest you are trying to deal with. And honestly, for professionals, there is something called the scope of service. When a client calls you, what does the client exactly want to do? You need to spell out your scope of service. What are the kind of pests you are trying to particularly control? But in this material particularly, when it comes to rodents, particularly the dangerous three that I did mention in my presentation, the roof rat, the house mouse, and the ratties, no, the house rat. All of them have different behaviors. Mice are not so much, they don't need water in any particular, they survive with less water in the facility. So they get the water they need from the food they eat. So when you have water in a facility, of course, if you remove that water source, the particular rodent that is going to be mostly affected is the house rat that needs water every day. The mice can still thrive in there, getting their water from the things they eat in your premises. Such knowledge helps you in trying to control. Look, if I remove the water here, what is the first type of water that is going to? If I make sure there is no water spilling down and water sources, the rats will live. But you still have the problems of the mice. So the biology and the roof rats, they are good climbers. In all these commensal rodents, the roof rat doesn't need, of course, if you give it a meat, it will peck. But it doesn't depend on what you eat, like the house mouse and the house rat that eventually feed on the before you keep for them in your unwashed place or in the things you spray around the house. The rat is up there, it's coming in for food. It's where it is, unless you keep it something, okay, this is where you eat, come and take. But it doesn't depend on that. The others do depend on, they are more commensal, they depend on those things more than that. So the biology of a pest, the behavior and biology of any pest, including the rodents we talk about, enables you to find a way. How does this behave? How can I use its behavior in controlling it? So it's important in pest management and for pest professionals, it's important you understand the behavior and biology. It's not just about chemicals. Chemicals are obsolete, of course, like I said. Most times when we go to a pest situation, there's an extant pest population, so you need to get rid of that. But beyond that, what you need to put in place are measures to make sure that you don't have that kind of pest reinvasion in that facility again. So the behavior and biology of pest helps you a lot in fathoming all the control measures that keep these places, particularly rodents, out of the facility.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your detailed explanation. So, in a very short while, for just 10 minutes, we're going to be having Dr. Kemabonta. She's going to be coming up on to tell us on the principles of integrated pest management, tools for disease control, and global health. Sir, are you ready for us? All right. Please, can we project on the screen? When she's done, then Dr. Isa Adamu will be coming on to complete the session once I've run for the online session then, because we have limited time. All right, as she's coming on board, let me introduce her to you. Dr. Kemabonta has a first degree in agricultural biology, master's in agricultural entomology, and a doctorate in entomology, which means that she's currently an associate professor in the Department of Zoology in the University of Lagos, and has previously worked as a senior lecturer in the same department. Her area of specialization is applied entomology, insect conservation, and pest management. She has written so many journals and ever researching to be mentally updated. Dr. Kemabonta is from Ogun State, and she's happily married with children. Please let's give her a round of applause. Good afternoon, ma'am. Please. Okay. Please, you're live. Good afternoon, Dr. Kemabonta.
I feel so bad that I'm not there with us.
Yes, we can hear you
I'm
now.
sure now. When I have sat here, I see me say hello to them. Say hello. Yeah, so we're at a conference, and I'm really sorry I couldn't make it. What protocols observed, I want to go on straight to integrated pest management. I have just a few minutes to spend, and this is a course to take for maybe a year or two, the whole session. So I want to see how I can reduce it, but give more examples that I know will be of what to us. Now, what is integration? I hope you can hear me.
Can you hear me?
So,
Yes.
now, integration is harmonious use of multiple methods to control single pests or pest complexes. In the pest, it is any organism detrimental to humans that can be nuisance, can kill, or can do whatever. But I give that definition that a pest is any organism that is found in the wrong place. So if you are a human being, you found in the wrong place, then you're a pest. So we have them. Normally, we are all, we as organisms are to fulfill certain purposes in life, either in the food chain or the food web. But when you are now going out of your own area, for example, the termite helps a lot. Without the termites and other biodegraders, I'm sure we'll have issues. But when the termite now leaves maybe the crops or leaves the wood that is in the forest, broken down, and comes to the house to come and feed on your doors and your cupboard, then it becomes a pest. Now we are looking at different pests, microorganisms, which you could now say is no more a pest. They say COVID virus is not pest. Well, to me, they are still pests. You have the weeds, you have the invertebrates, and so on. But the major ones we have are the roaches, especially the German cockroach that has grown resistant to almost all our chemicals. They can be big. You don't say, do you have a bed bug in your house? You say, do you have a BB in your house? Because the BB is a re-emerging insect pest and is found with both the rich and the poor. You have it everywhere. You have it in warehouses, you have it in offices, you have it in your homes, you have it in your hotel. Like the hotel I stayed in. Immediately I got there, the first thing I did was to check if there were bed bugs there. I didn't want to take them home because the eggs will not die. It takes so much to control bedbugs. I'm sure we all know that. Okay? And there's some people who use formalin. I don't advise it. Because the person using that formalin and the person you are using it for, you are destroying them. So it's not too good. But there are certain ways you can do to control the bedbug. But it takes a long time. And then you have the termites, mosquitoes. Of course, you know, if you find mosquito anywhere, that means if there are mosquitoes in your house, it means there are some containers containing water. There are some buckets, some tires that you don't use again, and you keep them in certain places. And then the water stays in the rain falls, and then the mosquitoes develop. And then you also know that the scorpions. The scorpions, of course, are found in wet, damp, and cool places. So, if they are found within your bathroom, you see one scorpion, the baby scorpion, then of course it means the mother scorpion is there because she carries her babies everywhere. So, once you see that thing, it means there's something wet in the house, and there's something that look under the back. You will see, really, putting your hand there, you see where. And then, you see they cannot see, they are blind. You just touch them and hit them and kill them because they can be very, very dangerous. Then you have the millipedes and centipedes. These are started coming out now as pests. And then, of course, the recent ones are the snakes. I remember somebody called me and said they have killed 3 snakes in his house. So I said, 3 snakes? He said, yes. I said, then you have rodents. You have rodents. He was looking at me. He said, yes, he sees one around the place. I said, well, if you see one, it means you have seen many. They are there. Or if you have poultry, the snake will come there, there's nothing attracting him. It's like a young man who see your house every day. You have the time there.
Hello? Alright, this is a bit of technical challenge while we are waiting the IT team to fix this. I think we can have Dr. Obuso. Any question we have based on what Dr. Kemabuta has spoken of, at least she has addressed, we're going to come to that in general question. Like I said, we have limited time. Briefly, let me introduce Dr. Obuso to us. I'm going to read a short profile, because if I have to read out his full profile, we will be here till 9 p.m. Dr. Chidi graduated from the University of Ibadan in the veterinary medicine in 1979. Honestly, I was not born then. He briefly worked in Kano State Ministry of Agriculture and Development and then joined Unichem Nigeria Limited, a Nigeria subsidiary of Bayer AG, Germany. Dr. Obuso has served as the Secretary of Lagos State Branch of Nigeria Veterinary Medical Association and at the national level, a National Secretary. Later he served as a Council Member of the Great Profession on Veterinary Council of Nigeria 2 times. Dr. Obuso is married to Mrs. Ibijoke Omokoredo, which means he is a Pan-African, an Igbo man married to a Yoruba woman. Now, the truth is that Dr. Obuso is going to be talking to us about one very major area that we all deal with, that's cockroaches. I'm sure that we all know that sometimes it's more difficult to do with German roaches than Oriental cockroaches. Do you agree with me? I'm sure we have 1 or 2 persons here presently that are dealing with cockroach issues. Abi? So in the next 15 minutes, please let's be attentive. We're going to gain something very important about cockroach. So if you have any question that centers around any issues related to cockroaches, please keep it. You have an expert here to talk about that. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the mighty cockroach is an interesting pest. In fact, among all pests, is one of the most common seen in many areas that unexpectedly the untrained eye will not notice. That means you need to be well trained to locate where to catch them. First and foremost, the cockroach has to be tackled very, very carefully. Many eateries darting all over the places, you have them abiding there. Many food industries scattered all over the places, you have cockroaches, serious cockroaches. And we have graduated from the normal African cockroach to now the Asian cockroach, the German cockroach, and the American cockroach, due to our massive importation from those areas. The cockroach, first of all, we are talking about how to control it. I'm not going to bother you with the morphology of cockroach or much of the lifestyle or the bio history of cockroach. Let us look at how we are going to control it. Now, you have, first of all, what does cockroach need in your house to come in? It needs water, it needs food, and it needs shelter. The cockroach, especially the one we call German cockroach, Latella germanica, that's a German cockroach. It is very tiny, and over 100 can gather in one small place, as if they are socializing. So, first of all, you have to be able to locate where they are. A trained person coming into a room where cockroaches are inhabiting, you will perceive the odor. If you are well trained, immediately you come where cockroaches are staying, you will perceive the odor. That's, they have an offensive odor, just like some type of rats also have some massive odor. Now, to locate them, there are nocturnal animals. You might come to your house and say, I don't have cockroaches, I've not seen them. Because you are not nocturnal. When the day is gone, you on your light, you stay in your rooms. When it's dark, you off your light and sleep. Except when the population is exploding, when they start flying about, if it's a flying time. There are some that fly, there are some that just crawl. So if it is a flying type, maybe they'll fly and perch on you on the bed, then you say, oh, so I now have cockroach in this house. You start getting worried. Or if it is a madam that opens some aspects, some parts of the fridge, then they will notice. In some corners, you see them darting about. That is how you notice. But first of all, if you are called to do a pest control, you need to have your torchlight. When you go with your torchlight, you carefully search the corners and those areas, the crevices, all the areas they are prone to habit. You search in those areas, you will detect them. If you don't detect them, you might assume they are not there. And the German cockroach is very small, like I said, and it's very difficult to destroy. You see, this cockroach has been able to prepare itself, even those baits that contain glucose, or let's say carbohydrates, as an attractant. When you put those baits, some of them have now developed resistance to anything containing glucose, so they will not touch it. In fact, it's even helps them to be better. So those are things that, like has been mentioned here, pest control is a very dynamic profession. Many things change. These insects, they are able to multiply so many in about 2-3 weeks. The generation of cockroaches come and go. That means if you use the chemical within a short time, if it's not properly used to exterminate them, within a short time, another population will have come in and they may have gotten in some element of resistance. They keep on passing it around the gene, and before a short time, they will be used to whatever chemical you had using before. Now, so like I said, if you want to identify where they are, you have to look at crevices, you have to look at behind your fridges, and they like cold and hot places, cold and warm places. So you search for all those areas, then you'll be able to locate them. When you locate them, you have to plan how I kill them. Usually one method alone will not destroy these hardy insects. So you have to organize some methods of getting rid of them. So many, I'm sorry, I didn't prepare proper notes. It's more or less okay. I got my notice very late, precisely this morning that I'm going to talk on this insect. But it's interesting. So we go. So now let's look at the major areas. Assuming, like I said, you located them in a house and you want to get rid of them. First of all, you have to track where they are. When you've gotten where they are, then do you use bait, or do you use bait, or do you use other means? Chemicals. Chemicals have been enumerated, but I assure you some of these chemicals, some of these insects, hardy insects, have gotten resistance to them. But that does not mean we can get rid of them. We succeed in getting rid of them by using a multiple of applications. When you use the bait, let's look at the basic control methods. We can use gel bait. These are the ones which are prepared, and they will attract them. When they are attracted, the insecticide in them will kill them. So you look for the where the traffic is very high, and then you place your gel bait, or you can also use the bait stations, which you position in different areas, which will also attract them and will also give you an idea how the traffic load is in that place as respect to the cockroach. Then, among the chemicals, one of the commonest chemicals is boric acid. Boric acid looks very simple and looks very common, but it's very good. One is safe for man, is safe for eggs, but I must warn you, don't let the water come in contact with a flower. It can destroy your flowers if you use the boric acid carelessly. If you use the boric acid, it will affect them very seriously, and it kills them almost immediately. Other insecticide, what you call, there's fipronil, yes, sorry. It's more modern. It's a modern chemical which is being used, and they compounded in many of the attractants. So when it's attracted and comes in contact with this chemical, they are destroyed. Cyclotrin is also another good product, which is used in forms of either fogging or spraying. But like we said, it doesn't make sense spraying the entire place. You get the areas where they are and concentrate on those areas. When you concentrate on those areas, you get rid of them. You see, many people, one danger of applying wholesome fumigation, that is applying your fogger or applying your sprayer, is that you contaminate the entire environment. Once the entire environment is contaminated, human beings walk there, your pets walk there, and then some other insects will avail the same space. So what will happen is that the insects gradually, even though you may not be meant for them, will become resistance. They will grow resistance to that insect. So it is always good to know what pest you are going for. What method of application are you going to use, so that you are more or less specific in your application for all those things. Cyclotrin, halothrin, deltametrin, permetrin, and tetrametrin. Those are common chemicals people are using. But other modern ways, people use pheromones. That is the insect hormone. What does it do? If you use insect hormone properly, and the one that will attract the cockroach, it will attract it, and then you now deal with it. That's what they use in terms of people who use bait. So when some of them use the insect hormone will attract this insect, and then they become destroyed with the insecticide. The days of using dark clovers and all that is virtually gone with this hard insect. It can kill, that is, maybe if it's a new breed of cockroaches, you can kill maybe 40% of them. But if you continue using dark clovers, I can assure you, they easily get resistant to it, and it will not work again. So it is always good to apply a series of methods in order to be able to determine what best to use in destroying your cockroach. Thank you.
I feel that is not enough. If we actually appreciate the time that we spent on the presentation, please let's jam our hands together again.